Welcome back to Furuno Connections. We're finishing up our radar shootout by taking a look at some features that make your radar easier to use and easier to interpret what you're seeing on the screen. We take a look at how easy it is to adjust your gain, see, and rain on TZtouch3. Then we take a look at ARPA versus MARPA. We look at true trails versus regular trails. And we also look at radar overlay, dual range, bird mode, and more. Adding all or some of the features and modes into your radar display is an important part of increasing your situational awareness. But knowing that they exist and how to turn them on is just as critical. So let's dig in and get started.
So the great thing about the NXT radars, especially with TZtouch3, is that there's not a lot of settings to go in and adjust. Some of our competitors have harbor mode, sea mode for different conditions, but with Furuno we really reduced that down and made everything automatic. If you do want to go into manual settings, it's not hard. We just swipe out from the left, bring out the data box menu, and select radar down at the bottom. From here, I can go in and adjust my automatic modes and turn on automatic sea clutter or automatic gain control. But if I want to go back to manual at any time, I can just touch those and then touch the number. It'll bring up a slider bar on the right, and I can easily adjust the gain or the sea control right from here. In rough seas or in certain conditions, that may be something you might want to try, but for the most part, if I ever want to go back or I'm not sure, just kick back to automatic mode and the system will reset and give you an excellent picture. A couple amazing features that are built into the TZtouch3 MFD system when you have a radar installed are the ARPA capability. That's totally automatic acquisition radar plotting, where you can see targets, track them, look at information like closest point of approach and time to closest point of approach, and also the true trail capability. True trails are great because as your boat moves around, only the targets that are moving will leave echo trails. Any targets that are fixed will not leave trails at all, so you can easily see what's moving around you. With the ARPA and the TZtouch3 MFD system, you can have it automatically acquire, or you can easily acquire a target just by touching the display. In this case, I'm going to acquire that target right there and click acquire. Just touch the display, it'll automatically drop a point right there and instantly start tracking that target as it moves. So with the automatic acquisition feature of the fast target tracking in TZtouch3, it will automatically acquire and start tracking targets on the display for you. Once it's acquired the target, it'll put a circle around that target and a vector line, just like we're seeing right now. If I want to get more information on that target, I simply have to touch the display and bring up the ID or the information on that particular target. For example, that target's moving at about 7 miles an hour, it's about 1,000 feet away, and the closest point of approach is about 1,000 feet. So as it's coming at me, I can see how close it's going to get to me and when that time it's going to get to me. To turn on true echo trails, just use your edge swipe function up and turn on my trails right here. Now anything that's moving will leave a trail, such as this target right here, and anything that's not moving will be still. Really nice, gives you instant situational awareness or instant information about what's going on around you. Sometimes certain manufacturers have trail modes, but as you turn the vessel, the trails all smear. But in true trails, they're stabilized echo trails, so that only the targets that are actually moving leave trails, and we can adjust that and turn the trails on for longer and shorter trails.
So as we continue our way through the list of features on System A, the next thing I want to talk about is what Furuno calls ARPA, because we do it automatically. System A has MARPA. And you know what MARPA stands for?
I do not.
Manual.
Okay,
if we want to acquire a target, we have to do it manually. Now, I'd rather have that than not have it. I do, you know, I'm not going to lie. Being a Furuno employee and using our radars for so many years, I love the fact that our radars do it automatically. I don't have to touch the screen. Let's go back to, you know, we've been with Mike for 3 days now. What is the thing we don't want to do? We do not want to touch that screen unless we have to, okay? But just to answer the question, System A does have MARPA. We can manually acquire up to 10 targets and get the information from that. And that is extremely important information. If you never acquired a target before, once you do and see the information it provides, you'll quickly realize it's great information to have. So I got to give props to System A for having that. It's a great feature to have. Now, we can't show it to you because one of the features of having ARPA is it requires a heading sensor. And so I'm not knocking System A. Almost every radar on the market that has ARPA like Furuno or MARPA like System A requires a heading sensor. And we just don't have it on this boat. But it is a great feature to have. I want to make that as clear as possible. Okay, so one of the other things I want to talk about, Matt, is one of my favorite features of radar, which is target trails. When I'm running up in the Chesapeake Bay, I like to have target trails on all of my targets so I can see the directionality of movement, even if they don't have a heading line on them, because Furuno radars offer heading lines on our targets. I use target trails because that tells me exactly where they were to give me a quick indication of where they're going. Right. And System A does offer that, and it's a feature I really like. If it's something you as a viewer have not used yet and you have a radar, look for target trails and use them, and I think you'll find it extremely important.
So the other thing that's pretty important on a radar is the ability to use what they call ARPA, or Automatic Radar Plotting Aid. This particular system, System B, has what they call a MARPA, which is a mini ARPA setup, which is all done manually. So there's no automatic acquiring, it's all done manually, and you can only track up to 10 targets at a time. The TZtouch3 can do 100 targets at a time. So the only thing that, I got a chance to play around with it, we're gonna try it a little bit right here. To acquire a target, you have to touch on a target, so we're gonna pick this one. Got the cursor on it, then you have to hit, cursor's not on it, so you have to get the cursor on it, and then quickly hit menu and go acquire target, which we don't have that ability because we don't have the heading sensor hooked up. It has to have heading, course, speed, and position data to allow you to acquire a target. So, if it would let us, then that target would be acquired, it would lock on, and then we could track it. It would show you which direction it was moving with a heading vector and so forth. We could also turn the target trails on too, and we can watch their trajectory. Let's put continuous trails on and let's see what we get out of it. So now the white edges on these targets now, that's the target trail. So that shows you as the targets are moving, or the radar screen is moving, or basically the boat's moving, causing the targets to shift, it'll show you where they were. So it shows you the direction in which they're moving. So if you had a ship coming across the front of the boat, it would draw a white line behind it so you could tell that it was moving from other stationary targets.
Tell me why the land's moving.
Well, the land's moving is because he's spinning the boat right now, so we're rotating the boat to point it out into the channel, away from where we were originally pointing, so it's starting to smear him. Now, I put the targets on continuous, so what we might want to do is put those down to, say, 30 seconds, so it'll only maintain that target data for 30 seconds after it's moved, so it doesn't get too cluttered. Otherwise, you'll just fill the screen full of junk, and then you won't be able to see anything. So this should give us an indication on some of these smaller targets as to who's moving or not. Like this target right here, that is Jack's boat coming in, and this other one up here is the boat anchored in front of us up here that's not moving.
Going over the features of the radar here on System C, one feature that can be very advantageous to the captain could be running what's called true trails. This is going to leave a trail mark behind the radar, and it's going to give you a sense of direction of which way a target is moving. To set up true trails, we're going to come over to our menu, and we're going to click on targets. Now, once we're on targets, we're going to go to our target settings. And right here we have where it calls trails. So we can go to put true trails, we can go to turn them on. And our trail period we can change. This is how long we don't want to display that trail for. We want to show a minute worth of its movement or up to 12 minutes worth of its movement. Let's say we want to just have 12 minutes. We click on the 12 minutes there, and we would simply close the window. That's how you would set up true trails on System C. Definitely a beneficial feature when you're trying to establish direction of a target. One other feature on System C that would be really nice to be able to do is to track targets using ARPA, or fast target tracking. The way you would do this is you would touch on a target and you would come down here and you would see acquire target. Without a heading sensor, we do not have the ability to track targets on System C. But with a heading sensor fit, the feature is available on System C.
TZT3 offers full ARPA, while the other systems offer MARPA, or mini ARPA. TZT3 can acquire 100 targets, while System A and B can acquire 10, and System C can acquire 25 targets. TZT3 and System C can auto-acquire targets, however System C requires you to be in a guard zone. TZT3 and System C offer true trails, while Systems A and B offer standard trails.
One feature in the NXT radar that's possible is dual range capability, and TZtouch3 MFDs have that capability built in. So whenever I hook up a radar, I can show split ranges where I have a radar presentation on the left side, for example, in these tight mangroves where I'm looking very close in, and on the right side where I'm zoomed out more. It's nice to increase your situational awareness, get a better overview of what's around you on the right side, but look in really tight and see really close up on the left side.
System A does have dual range. We're kind of looking at the screen right now. It looks pretty good. So we have the left-hand side of the screen set up to three-quarters of a nautical mile and the right-hand set up to 2 nautical mile. But we could separate it a lot further than that. We just wanted to bring it up, talk about it as a feature because it's an extremely useful feature. We're just sitting here talking to our cameraman Mikey. He said it's one of his favorite features he uses because when he's offshore, he likes to look for land at the furthest distance while also keeping a shorter range on the screen to see anything that's around him. And that's really a great way to do it. That's what dual range radar is for.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it gives the operator, information on, long targets and obviously targets that are closer. But, as you can see here, we can see the Marathon Bridge on the, long range pretty well, actually, pretty clearly. And if you're looking at the close range, you're just starting to pick up the beginning of it.
So to just off the port, we have a couple of sailboats anchored. So we got good visual confirmation of those guys, but we see how much smaller they get when we're in 2 nautical mile range. And let's bump that up a little bit. So as you see, if we're running in really long range, we'll say 8 miles, the sailboats kind of drop off, but we do get information about other targets we're looking for. However, we stay at a short range over here, we're still seeing all the sailboats. So it's really a great way to leverage your radar and make it work really good while giving you all the information you're looking for.
We're going to do a little bit of work with the dual range radar. Now, if you remember from earlier, we talked about that you can actually split the radar screen up and have 2 separate images that you can range and adjust independently, which is kind of nice probably for an application like you guys are doing, where you can have one on zoomed in and one of them zoomed out, so you can see targets.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah, and not have to keep jumping back and forth.
Exactly.
Right? So this side of the screen, I've got zoomed in to about 1/8 of a mile, so we can see the boats in here near pretty close to us. The other side, I've ranged out to about almost a mile, so we can see the bridge and this marina over here and a few other things, so we can actually get a taste of what it'll actually do for us. So you can see we're getting pretty decent detail on the bridge. We can see our harbor entrances, I think, over here. And then this is basically zoomed in on us, and there's the other 3 boats are circling us, testing their radars as well.
Over here on System C, I'd love to be able to talk to you about dual range radar, but with our solid state dome that we have on System C, dual range radar is just not a feature available. I do believe on some of their other domes it is a feature, but with their solid state dome, it's not a feature that we have.
TZT3, System A, and System B offer dual range radar capabilities. System C does not offer this capability.
When you add a compass to your TZtouch3 MFD system, like the new SCX20 or 21, you can take advantage of radar overlay on the display. And radar overlay is where we put up the chart. For example, we're running a raster chart right now, and we're putting the radar image on top of the raster chart. When you have the radar presentation on top of the chart, you get a double verification that all the information you're looking at is in the exact place. So when you see that buoy lined up right over the top of a buoy, you know that it's exactly that, and really good for situational awareness. One of the great things about TZtouch3 is you have a choice of charting or cartography. In this case, we're looking at a raster chart, but I can easily switch that with my edge swipe up and switch that to my vector chart. So let's take a look at what it looks like with the vector chart.
System A does offer radar overlay, but it takes several steps to invoke it compared to TZT3. To turn the radar overlay on, swipe up to get to the menu, tap Menu, tap Layers, tap Radar. On TZT3, just edge swipe up, tap Radar Overlay, and you're done. System B offers a radar overlay mode as well. But like System A, it requires a few keystrokes to bring it up. Push the menu button, tap Overlay, then tap Radar. On TZT3, just edge swipe up, tap Radar Overlay, and you're done.
We're on System C boat, and what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to do radar overlay onto your chart plotter screen. What we have to do is we have to go into our menu button, and we're going to click on those gears. Come over to our layers, and we're going to turn the radar layer on. And what we do is we get a warning here that says either fit a heading sensor or use your course over ground speed for your radar overlay. So what we're going to do is we do not have a heading sensor on this boat. We're going to tell it to use its course over ground. So we're going to say, okay, come over here to advanced, and we're going to say use radar without heading. So now we're going to turn that on, and we're going to accept OK on that warning. Now what we're going to do is we go back to our chart plotter page, and we can zoom out here, and we can now see that we have radar overlaid onto our screen. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 second. We're going to get underway for a little bit, get a little bit of speed on the boat. We're going to see if this radar overlay kind of lines more up with what we're seeing on the chart if we've got a little speed on the boat like the warning suggests. Now that we picked up a little bit of speed after we turned our radar overlay on, we can see on System C's screen here that our radar overlay is getting to be a little more accurate. We're seeing that radar overlay following the bridge here. We're seeing it up against land, and we're seeing some of the boats that are moored out here off the beach. Obviously, the most accurate way to do radar overlay on your chart plotter is going to be with a heading sensor.
When I'm using bird mode on our NXT radars, I simply edge swipe up, turn on the bird mode in either calm, moderate, or rough sea conditions. In this case, we have about 5 to 10 mile an hour winds, and I'm using moderate because I'm around land as well. But then I also turn on my true echo trails, and that's a key feature because you can actually watch the birds track with our echo trails, and they'll easily leave marks across the screen when they're flying by. So let's just see if we can see any right now.
That's coming that way. That's the pelican right here.
Yeah.
Watch the pelican right here.
Yeah.
This is him tracking them right here. So you got the pelican flying right off our bow, and really the trails was key. That helps you.
Yeah, it helps you find them.
Yeah, he's going to come right over here. And that's it right there.
Yeah.
Heading away. We do have a boat coming. Here's the boat coming right at it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can see that bird.
And the boat trail.
Yeah,
the bird trail and the boat trail together.
It's great to be able to see single birds.
Yeah.
You have to put that thing in manual, or are you still running it automatic?
You cannot take that.
I'm in completely automatic moderate bird mode, moderate sea bird mode. And calm sea, it's just too much gain, but in moderate, it seems to work pretty good right now.
It's that big wad of them right there.
Yeah.
You got the
That's what
two
it is.
boats,
Yeah.
got the two boats, and then the big wad of birds.
So we can even go heavy. There we go. See, that kind of knocks it out a little bit.
So that's all the birds right there in between us and the other boat right there. So seeing all those birds diving on the water just like that, that would simulate the exact same thing as a school of dolphin mahi-mahi feeding on a weed line. So that's what I would look for on my radar, and I would definitely be looking for that to go fish on right there.
Okay guys, so just very quickly, we were sitting out here, we had some fish bait left over from yesterday, so we threw it out in the water just to draw some birds in, and we actually did. We're going to get some film of the birds, but I want you to take a look at System A. Now we are on low range, it's only 1/8 of a nautical mile, and we're in auto bird mode. I turned target trails on, and we can look over here. This is one of the other test boats, but here is a flock of birds just off to our starboard side. So I would like to see birds a little bit further. Not much I can do about it today just due to the fact that we're having a hard time finding any. But just to show you, we can see birds on System A's radar, albeit a little close. I'd like to see them a little bit further, but for right now, I just wanted to show you guys what birds look like on a radar screen.
So we came out here we crossed the bridge and we came out to what they call Bird Island. Obviously we've got quite a few birds in the air right now, and there's some birds kind of hovering over the water and doing a lot of things that we should be seeing with the radar in bird mode, and we're kind of not.
I think the gain has to be a lot higher than the auto. If you mess around and try to raise it up, that'll try to pick up the smaller targets.
Okay.
And I also noticed that when we are kind of close to it, it does have a harder time picking up those birds when you are this close.
Mm-hmm.
So what we can do is raise that gain, see what changes.
Okay, so if we take it out of auto, and then we're at a gain 73 right now, so if we run it up,
say like 90%.
yeah, because out ahead of us right there, there's nothing there.
Yeah,
so
that's a bird right there.
Okay,
see
so
how it
yeah.
See how it disappears and it appears. So those usually are birds like that because they show up and they go away because they are flying. So that is we are picking up spotty with birds. So like right there, that's got to be a bird right there, right there.
Yeah, he's just flying off the water right there. That's him right there.
Yeah, so we do have success on picking up some individual guys, which usually birds, they do appear and disappear.
We're down here in the Keys with Captain Cam, still doing our testing. You know, how important are finding birds to you down in the Keys?
It's very important, especially in the summertime when we go out chasing mahis and catching tunas and things like that. We'll find giant schools of birds that the fish are working with. So being able to find those birds with a radar is kind of game changing, and it's nice.
Excellent. Now, in the past, did you have to set your radar up for birds, you set it up, you tune the gains and the range, is having a bird mode made it a little easier for you?
Yeah, no doubt about it. With other systems I've used in the past, you kind of had to manually adjust that to dial it in to find those birds. Mm-hmm. And with the new Furuno system, you just kind of hit the bird mode and go, and it makes it very nice.
Excellent, excellent. We're on System C, and we've been doing our radar testing. Like Eric has been talking about bird mode with the Furuno, Cam's mentioning it. That is just not a feature that's available on System C. They've got a lot of features. This has been a pretty decent radar so far today, but bird mode is just not a feature available.
TZT3, System A, and System B offer dedicated bird modes. System C does not offer a bird mode. Well, that wraps up our radar testing. And nothing like this has ever been documented or videoed like this before. So we hope that you found it informative and enjoyable. On the next episode, we're going to join back up with our captains and crew to find out what their take was on these radar tests and how the systems performed. So make sure you tune in to the next episode of Furuno Connections. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and click on the bell below to get notifications for the next time we release new videos. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.